Okay, thank you everybody for being here for Mabon Celebration, ritual, information, all that fun stuff. First, I'll start with the shout out to DiviNation Academy. If you have not found us before, thank you for finding us and for being here. That is absolutely fabulous. We're super happy that you're here. If you want to know more information about us, you can definitely check out the Facebook page, and I will pop that into the chat here. You can send us a message there to be able to join the Academy afterwards, and admins will reach out to you afterwards. You can also check out the website that has all of our information for certification programs, study guides, what we all offer, things like that. And then the YouTube page. So we also have a YouTube page that I will plop in here as well. If it will come back to me. Yeah. And the YouTube page where all of our classes are. I think we have like over 100 right now, which is super, super cool. So if you are new, definitely go check us out. We would love that. And I think that's it for all that shout out. So the other part that I like to start with, just to let everybody know, so my name is Kalsee. I've been a solitary witch practitioner like my entire life. So everything that I have is self-taught. It's all through study, through lots of different teachers, lots of different masters, lots of different like studies and learnings and going through texts and things like that. Everything that I do is kind of a little bit unique. I change it to kind of fit like my own style, my own feel. I work a lot with energy. So that's kind of like a lot with what we'll be doing. And I work a lot with like nature energy specifically. And we're going to focus on the wheel of the year and the Sabbath tonight, which is Mabon. Um, in the study guide, I do have a section about the wheel of the year. If you don't know much about it, I would recommend going over it. I don't really want to go over a ton of that right now because that's a lot and that'll overpower the Mabon part of it. But pretty much in simple forms, the Wheel of the Year is pretty much just a pagan and witch calendar. It does have a lot of roots like in Wiccan culture and like Wiccan practice, but you don't have to be a Wiccan to follow it. They've been using a form of this for centuries. It just wasn't like officially like written down and things like that. So you can go do information about that. And then what I'll do next is we'll go over kind of Mabon and then what it is, what the energy can do for you, how you can celebrate it, all the correspondences that go to it. Um, and then after that, we can go through everything that I have for our ceremony, which is quite a bit. I have, let's see, we'll end up calling in the directions in the circle, and ancestors and guides, harvest deities as well. Then I have a Mabon equinox and prayer that I wrote for you, as well as an invocation to bring the Mabon energy directly to you. And then if you brought your leaves with you, we can start doing those together. We can start writing our intentions on there together, and I'll walk you through what that leaf garland ritual is. And then we have an ancestral prayer that I'll walk you through as well, an invocation. I always like to bring them in for every single Sabbath because it just is super important to have those guides with you. And then we will set Mabon intentions and release because that's something that I really want to make sure everybody focuses on with Mabon. Is it is all about balance and duality. It is one of only 2 nights in the entire year where nature is like at complete balance of day and night. It only happens twice a year. So that's why I really want us to focus on like the duality of it. We're not just being grateful for everything that we harvested this year. And that's not just like crop wise. That means like harvesting, whether it's like your spiritual growth, your finances, your relationships, anything that you were working on trying to harvest throughout this year. But also working on releasing things as well. So you want to be grateful, but you also want to release because you need that balance. So when we get to that exercise, that's something that I'll make sure that we're really intentional on. Everything that we're grateful for, we also need to release one thing as well, to maintain that balance and the spirit of the Mabon energy, which is very full of duality. And Mabon, we'll jump into kind of what it is now. Let's see. Do I have any questions right away before I get going? And I will promise I remind myself to talk slower. I'll take that as a no for any questions. Fabulous. So what is Mabon? Mabon, like I said, is part of the Wheel of the Year. It is one of our sabbats. It is also known as the fall equinox. It is where the fullness of the season is coming to fruition. It is considered the second harvest. This harvest, like agriculturally now and pretty much throughout history, this always kind of determined like how the rest of the year was going to go. If they were going to have enough crops to make it through the winter, if they're going to like all of that. And it still does that now. I mean, it determines on, what our farmers' bounty is going to be, what their finances are going to look like, what their family's life is going to look like, things like that. So that is a big part with this. Mabon is also, like I said, it's in the season of fall. So we're definitely experiencing like that fall energy. I don't think we've hit Libra quite yet. But right now, but Virgo is definitely a part of this. And feeling that, like I said, that fall energy. Um, Autumn is also like the energy of water. So like the flow, that's the element that it's going to tie to a lot. Um, and then also just a key point, it's going to be different depending on what hemisphere you're in. So obviously the northern hemisphere right now, I want to make that clarification here quick, is Mabon and the autumn equinox. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're gonna be getting the sun. And I'm jealous about that, but I still love the fall. Um, a big part of Mabon, like I said, is celebrating gratitude. It's celebrating the plentiful harvest. It's celebrating what Earth has given to you. It's celebrating the abundance of life, everything that you have worked so hard for to sow and reap, and even the things that you weren't able to harvest. That's the release part, is you may have planted some things and you weren't able to bring them to fruition like you thought. So it's also celebrating that release part of that fact. It's representing the fertility of the land. It's representing the producing of the riches. Um, and it's pretty much, like I said before, the fruits of the harvest. And it is also where you're making your necessary preparations for the dark half of the year, like I said, winter. So it's where you're preparing for the next part. It's where you're starting to settle into that darkness, get ready for like a lot of shadow work during that time of year. So that's a big part of also being focusing on the duality. So when it comes to Mabon in history, this has been an idea and a harvest festival that's been around for millennia. It's across many different cultures throughout the world. Most of the way that we see it now, and most of the way that we do it now seems to be like very, very rooted more in like the Celtic and Welsh traditions. But obviously, like in ancient Greece, they had their festival, which I can never say it. It's Oshaporia, I think. I can never say that right. Greek has their words. Which is they have it's a big harvest to celebrate the harvest of grapes. And making wine. And then obviously we have Oktoberfest, which is in, the Bavarian countries, that started popping up, I think, 18th century, I want to say, I believe. If I'm wrong, I will correct that. And then Oktoberfest obviously is around other parts of the European area as well. And then in China, the Harvest Moon's a really big deal in China. It celebrates honoring family, unity. That celebration is actually really beautiful. And then, like I said again, it's the idea of it being a second harvest. Typically celebrated with mid-autumn vegetables, traditionally and culturally, historically. That's usually what they were doing, putting them in baskets, which symbolizes like the gathering of the crops. So that's where you get the idea of like the cornucopia and things flowing out of it, of your bountiful harvest. Also, like sickles and scythes were part of it, because you were getting to the dark half of the year. And it's also symbolizing like the harvesting of crops, because those were tools that were used for harvesting. Great feasts were commonly held during this time, with lots of drinking, lots of being happy and joyful. And during this time, like they really focused on like hospitality to those who were around them and making sure that you were helping those that were in need. Let's see. Mabon correspondences. So lots of things that can tie to that. The symbolism, obviously, we've kind of gone over it briefly, but fruitfulness, reaping, prosperity, abundance, being thankful, harmony, but also balance, also releasing, also recognizing the yin and the yang, recognizing the flow that you've been going through throughout the year, because this is really the wrap up of our year. We're coming into our new year, coming here soon after this. So that's really why we're very reflective, and that's a very big symbolism throughout this. A lot of symbols to represent it are going to be like I said before, like harvest type vegetables, harvest type vegetables and fruits. So apples, squashes, pumpkins, grapes, grains, dry seeds, leaves. You can even do flowers if they're still blooming, they're like late blooming flowers in the fall, acorns, wine, sometimes mead for the Oktoberfest. I just find most of the gods for this time wine more personally. That's what I get the connection with them. Colors that will represent with them are obviously a lot of the fall and autumn colors that you'll see in like the leaves in nature. So it's gonna be the reds, the maroons, the golds, the browns, purple, indigo, oranges. For food and drink, it's going to be pretty much the same that you would offer for offerings and for the symbols. So it's going to be those dried fruits, those fall vegetables, squashes, pomegranates, super big one that specifically ties to Persephone and Hades. If you don't know that story, I'm talking about it on Sunday. Kind of a shameful plug. But I have a couple with me all the time for my fall, Mabon autumn altar. I absolutely love that energy that ties into that. Um, Breads, grains are also something that you can have on for food and drink. Cornbread, beans, mutton, apple cider, warm ale, hot cocoa can even work for it as well. The stuff that's just like the warm, heavy liquids. Herbs that can be used are going to be marigold, honeysuckle, milkweed, pine, rose, sage, wheat, barley, oats, things like that. Deities that are tied to Mabon that you can use to call in for their energies. Persephone, Demeter, there's the Green Man, Circe, Dionysus, Morgan, I think Thoth as well, usually around this time. Um, for crystals and gemstones that can be used, my favorite around this time is lapis lazuli. I absolutely love the energy that you can pull from lapis lazuli around this time. For one, like you get that Virgo energy from that, you get Persephone tied to that. Yellow agate's also a really big one that you can use. I like to use smoky quartz as well, because that ties to Hades, which also then ties to Persephone, and that's one that I like to pair with this a lot. Um, Animals that are typically tied to this for symbols are going to be like your wolves, stags, blackbirds, owls, things like that. Magic that you're going to do around this time is a lot of home and hearth magic. So if you go further down in the study guide and the stuff that I gave you to do on your own, a lot of that revolves around that, like air blessing your home with autumn air, and being very intentional when you're doing that and being really holding that energy, that air in your energy and in your space when you're performing that air blessing and getting that autumn air into your home. Also, the other one that I like to do around this time, I think a lot of people forget about it. They really focus on just like the spring cleaning part, but I feel like fall cleaning and doing like a really big, deep fall clean right now is so important. Like I said, like we're reflecting and coming to the end of our year. You're gonna want to like intentionally sweep all of that out. You're gonna want to sweep the past energy out of your home. You're gonna want to get that energy out and moving forward. You're gonna want to be flowing into the next part of the year. So that's something that I think is super intentional to be doing right now. Literally like every single corner of your home, making sure that you're reaching that. Saging and clearing your home, cleansing and smudging your home right now. Things like that are super important. Right now is a time of the year where I really reinforce protection wards and sigils around my home. I'll usually like replace wards that I have up above thresholds, things like that, because this is a very strong time to be able to connect to that. Another thing that you can do with magic for right now is also bringing harmony and peace. to your life, your loved ones, and yourself. So whether you're doing that just through like just simple self-care, or whether it's doing like a self-care spell jar or any type of things like that that can help you restore like harmony and peace in any areas that you might specifically need it. Also making sure you're giving thanks to the earth in any way that you possibly can. Whether it's something new that I'm actually going to try tomorrow, that I came across is like I'm actually going to be taking, I haven't decided if I'm going to do mead or if I'm going to do wine, but I'm going to be taking that. I'm going to be putting honey in it. I'm going to be going down to a body of water, and I'm going to be intentionally giving that to the water, since water is element of autumn. I'm going to be giving that as an offering to that body of water. So doing anything that you can to give thanks to the earth. I typically also bury things in the earth at this time to be able to give offerings to them. If that's something that works for you, not everybody likes doing that or is okay with doing that. I recommend trying to do things that are not going to harm the earth, obviously, and doing things that are like biodegradable. I'm not the biggest fan of like burying mason jars, but some people do like doing that, and that's totally fine. It's your path, so it's your choice. Another thing to make sure that you're doing with like magic and spell work is also like celebrating like your kinship. So attach like starting to really reach out to your ancestors, starting to feel them, because the next holiday that we have coming up, Samhain, like that's going to be super, super important for you. So starting to really start to feel that energy, starting to really notice that it's there and it's around you. And connecting to that, whether that's like through meditation or anything spiritual that you can possibly do with that. um, Another thing that I really like to do with Mabon is because throughout almost every single culture that I've come across, apples seem to always have a really special significance. That is always a symbol that I find common. And so I always like to do some type of spell work with apples. There's a lot that they can do because they really represent like your seed of knowledge and intent coming to fruition. So that seed's still inside of the apple, obviously, that you planted in the spring, and then it's completely surrounded by all of the growth and effort that you put throughout the year with that fruit, and you're getting to see the knowledge and intent coming to full fruition with that piece of fruit. So something that I really like to do with them is like cutting them in half, taking anything that I have for like spell ingredients, depending on what I'm trying to do and what my purpose is for it. You are putting it around the center of that star and the seeds. You're very intentionally blowing your intention with your energy into the center of that on an exhale breath. And then you're drying out that apple with those spell ingredients, and then you're burying that in the earth and thanking it for the harvest and planting your seeds of intention. It's something that I try to do every time around this year. And you would be amazed at the results that happen, honestly. In the study guide, I do have some cheat sheets for correspondence to try to help you remember, because it's a lot. And yeah, it's a lot. That's kind of the only way to describe that. And then I also have in there lots of different ways that you can celebrate Mabon. And you can continue to do that. Like you don't have to like you can celebrate the idea and the energy of that season throughout that season. Um, so doing things like going apple picking, visiting a pumpkin patch, building and hosting a bonfire. And if you do that, I definitely recommend like trying to get people to do some type of exercise where you can get them to at least like write down one thing they want to bring in for the year, one thing they want to release, and then just burning it in the bonfire with you. Or if there's like a specific item or anything that they want to do and they want to release, or if there's a specific thing that they want to be able to call in. But like I said, I try to make sure it holds that rule that if you are bringing in one thing, you are releasing another, so that you are keeping that balance and that sense of duality and really encompassing that energy. Um, Other things that you can be doing are simmer pots, baking bread, creating your Maven altar, creating a cornucopia, drinking warm liquids, having very intentional walks through autumn nature. So making sure that you're being very intentional about what you're noticing, what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Leaving offerings buried in the woods, or just leaving small offerings and altars in the woods in general, doing leaf rubbings, fire gazing. I absolutely love doing fire gazing during this time. You can get a lot of clarification during this time with fire gazing. Um, like I said before, deep cleaning and cleansing your home, sweeping out the past year, gratitude list or tree. I try to do one of those every year. Sometimes It's hard to find things to be grateful for, but you always can. And then making a leaf intention garland. I'll kind of walk you through that. That's really cool. So we'll go through that later. I did put in here ideas of what you can put in your simmer pot. If you've never done one of those, you can shoot me a message or you can look up how to do those. Pretty easy. I have ideas in there for mason jar altars for you as well. And I actually did put one together so you can kind of see what it looks like. And then with these, I do these specifically like these smaller ones to place also on top of my main altar so that the Sabbath is honored and recognized. So in mine right now, I currently have obviously quartz because it amplifies everything. I have dirt, I have black salt and soot, I have leaves from outside and acorns, I have flowers from my berry garden that I harvested and grew. I have a couple of things from my garden as well. I have sage I grew, I have some rosemary in there that I grew, acorns. And then after this, you can choose to keep this open and leave it on your altar. It'll end up being like an open container to end up continuing to welcome that energy in. Otherwise, you can do what I'm going to be doing after this, which I brought this to show you, one of my other jars. So to seal the container, I typically take a white candle and I burn it completely down, all the wax onto the lid to seal that energy and seal that container for that intention and for that spell jar. And it will stay there for the entire season, and then it will be removed afterwards and be given thanks for everything that it was allowed to bring in for me. So you can, like I said, you can either keep it open or you can seal it shut. Um, and then I do have the instructions in there for how to perform the letting go intention leaf ritual because there are parts after tonight that you'll have to do throughout the season. But like I said, I'll go over that when we need to. And then like I said, I put in home and hearse things in there for you to do as well. And other things. I also have shadow work prompts in there for you guys as well to work to help you focus on pulling in the energy for this season and for Mabon itself. I will prompt you with some of those too while we're going through the ceremony and the ritual to start bringing that energy forward. A lot of it, like I said, it's going to focus on bringing in things and being grateful about everything that you harvested this season. And then it's also going to focus on releasing the things that you weren't able to. I have affirmations for transition also in there as well to keep you kind of like focused with this season's intention and energy. And then I believe that's all the information I really have for you guys on Mabon right now. And we should be able to go into the ceremony if people don't have any questions. So I will let people ask questions if they have any, make any comments, tell me any information I may not know or didn't say. I will leave it up to you guys. Otherwise, if we're good to start going into ceremony and ritual, you guys can just give me a thumbs up in the chat or a reaction or tell me in the chat. And I will just get ready to go into calling in the corners and opening up the container. Andrea, I saw your message and yes. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. I know it's a problem. I'm trying really I have to be intentional about it. So if everybody's ready, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you guys take a few minutes to get yourself centered, to drop in, whatever it is that you guys call it, before I open the containers, get us in sacred space. Everybody has different words for it. If you hear open container, that's just what I use, but most people use sacred space or things like that. And I'm just going to get all the invocations ready.
I had a question. Where did you say that you put the leaf ritual at?
It is in the study guide. I believe, let me see if I can figure out exactly what page it is for you. Um, It looks like it starts on page 6 and then it finishes on page 7.
Is that in the chat or is that somewhere else? I'm sorry, I came a little later.
Oh, I can recopy the link in. Give me 1 second.
Yes,
Give me
please.
1 second. Let me go. Yes. Let me. Boom. There it is. And then I think that's on page 6. I said it starts on page, like the bottom of page 6. I can understand that, Andrea. That makes sense. I can understand that view of using sacred space versus container. I think I personally use container because I like to view things in a very energetic viewpoint. And I view things very, very, very gray. Granted, like I still think it's a sacred space, but I think that's probably why I use it. But I definitely agree with I totally agree with that, 100%. Okay, so is everybody ready now? Again, since after I got that study guide in there. Okay. Okay, if you have not been to one of my things before, you weren't at my new moon ceremony before, I always start by creating the container by calling in directions and elements and guides and things like that. If you've experienced calling in corners or directions, this may be similar to what you've heard before, but it is going to be different because I do write all of them myself, so it's not going to be like dictated word for word from what you've heard. So I do hope that it vibes with you and you enjoy it. Okay. I call to open this container, this sacred space, this area of energy that encompasses everybody in this room. I call to the spirits and guides of each person in this circle. Encircle and surround us with the energy of gratitude, the energy of release, the energy of flow of Mabon this evening as we gather to celebrate this harvest and this sacred time throughout the year. This is an event that we'll witness over and over again in our life, but may it never lose its magic. And to the gatekeepers of the 4 directions, I thank you for turning your gaze towards us this evening. We honor your sacred presence and thank you for your guardianship. We give thanks this day for all the blessings you send our way. I call to the direction of east, the element of air, its invisible winds, crisp with autumn wonder, full of the smell of the leaves and harvest and hard work all around. I call to you if you're Libra or Aquarius or Gemini from the element of air and direction of east. I invoke the air and the movement in my life, in your life, and in all the life around us, and all the exquisite flow of energy. Teach me to move in ease, to be within and to be without, to be willing to accept, and to be willing to release. To not be bound by my concept of should or shouldn't, and to sit fully in the concept of duality. We honor and thank the element air. Your wind flies high, and you find the words to suit our needs. The guardians and gatekeepers, of the direction of south, I call to you the element of fire, the candle flames and wildfire. I call to the element of fire, to the dry heat and desert winds, the sacred lands of our ancestors, the wildfires that burn untamed inside of each and every one of us, the passion that burns as bright as if two lovers touching for the very first time. Teach me fire to kindle my flame, to burn bright and burn long, and to be able to burn through and release that which no longer serves me. I burn all around me as the flames grow, and I learn the power of release, acceptance, balance, and duality. I honor this fire within. I honor the courage of my wild spirit and yours. Guardians and gatekeepers of the element of fire, I see you. I see you. I apologize, guys. Give me 1 second. I need to recenter. Call to the direction of west, element of water, raging river and deepest ocean. I call to you water, to the waves that rise above me, the depths that could crush me. The water is the generous flow of all energy around me. The rivers and oceans that expand and connect us, they connect us all across. Mothers, children, fathers, all ancestors. Feeds and nourishes, it bathes and cleanses, it's drawing, and it's birthing, and it's all the cycles of life. I float and I swim in you all around me as I learn the power of your flow throughout this autumn season. And I see my entire being knows to surrender completely into that flow of duality, of release, and of gratitude. Guardians and gatekeepers of the element of water, I see you and I summon you. I call the direction of north, the element of earth. You are our mother. You are our sustenance. You are everything that we hold dear. You are our continents and oceans moving in a silent, sacred dance. I call to you, earth, to your trees, to your wilderness, to your animals and your creatures of all kinds. Your expansions and uncharted spaces we aren't even aware of. Your wild and free places as you turn and change this season. As you reap us harvest, as you reap us bounty, as you give us sustenance to keep moving forward throughout the rest of the seasons. Teach me, Earth, to hold the expanse of my feelings and not to be bound by my fear. I ground and I bury and I root all in you. As I learn and I trust that my roots are deep enough to support my expansion throughout the season of balance. Guardians and gatekeepers, I call to you and I thank you for being here. I call to those above, ascended masters. I call to those above, other deities such as angels. I call to the watchtowers of all corners. I call to those below. I call to our ancestors. I call to all deities of the harvest. Okay. The circle is now open and directions have now been called in. Okay. Does anybody need a minute to settle and sit in more in the sacred space? Okay. So what we're going to do next is if you have your leaves, now what I'll have you do is I'll have you go ahead and grab your leaves just to kind of break it up a little bit with the energy for myself and for everybody else. We'll start with intentions here next. So let me know in the chat, like when you're ready, if you have them. And if you don't have them, you can grab a piece of paper. That'll work too. And then you can do this afterwards later by yourself. So let me know when everybody is ready. Yes, Andrea, I took care of it. My husband can be heard from the other room. And I told him that he needs to shut the door so that nobody else can hear. I deeply apologize. Okay. So what you'll do is, if you have more than one, you can do more than one. See, I have a bunch. I'm glad you grabbed more than one, Alex. I have a whole Ziploc bag full. So what you're gonna want to do is, like I said, you're gonna want to be equal. So for everything that you write on there, that's gonna be an intention. So right now you're really focusing on intentions that you want to bring in for your next year that's coming up. So anything that you couldn't harvest or bring to fruition this year, anything that you're looking forward to bring into fruition for next year, anything like that. And then also make sure that for everyone that you do for that, you do one that you want to release. So make sure that you have one on there of something that you want to release and let go of, something that you couldn't quite harvest to full fruition like you had hoped. So we will go ahead and do that. If you guys want to, you can unmute yourself and say them. You can put them in the chat. I'll probably say some of mine while I'm just going. So it's just not me sitting here in silence by myself. So something that I am definitely going to be bringing in is abundance. And I specifically mean abundance in like every shape and form, like not just money and wealth. I mean it in every way, shape, and form. My relationships, everywhere.
So are you releasing and bringing in on the same leaf, or are you doing like a release leaf and then a?
So I am doing a release leaf and then a bring in leaf. If you have only one leaf, it can work to do it on one on each side, but it's gonna work better if you have it on separate leaves. because then what you're going to do when you're done with these is any way that you can, you're going to garland them together or place them together if you can't garland them, because sometimes it's kind of hard. Even if it's just like in a basket, you'll make sure that they're all in like one space energetically in a container together. And then as that intention comes to fruition, or as you're able to actually fully release that thing, you are then going to take this leaf, you're going to remove it from that container, you're going to remove it from that garland, and then you're going to give it back to the earth while giving thanks. It sound like it is the energetic tie and the connection that you have with it. It works absolute wonders. The intention that you give to it, just in writing it alone, gives it so much more power. And then you're also attaching it to nature itself, and then the energy of the Sabbath, and then you're making sure to give it thanks and releasing. Does that make sense? And does anybody have any questions? Let's see. I want to bring organization into my life. Oh, yes. I can always use more organization. Always want to bring motivation. Yes, motivation is fabulous. That's a good one. That's a really good one. So I'm releasing my counter one for my release is self-doubt, specifically in how I affect those in my community and what I give to others in the amount that I serve others. It's something I specifically like really have a hard time self-doubting with. And there's no reason for it, but I do it. People, yes. Oh my goodness. I could heart that a million times. Releasing people pleasing. I'm actually stealing that because, yep, people pleasing. I would love to be able to release that. And then in order to bring in, I think to counter that actually, I would love to say I want to bring in not feeling guilt or shame by saying no, because then that'll help with both of those things. My tendency to be late. Ah, I know somebody in my life could use that one too. That is a good one. I like that one. Let's see. So I'll give us a few more minutes to do this exercise. And then, like I said, like when we're done here after this, like you guys can figure out how you want to put them together. If you want to actually do a physical garland, I'm going to be doing that. I just use twine. Um, And then otherwise, like I said, you can just keep it in a container altogether. Like, and by container, like I said, that just means like an energetic space that is for a specific intention and purpose. So like I said, if you just put it in like a basket, that's for the specific intention and purpose, and they're all touching each other, that's creating a container. I am also gonna bring in more gentle, clear communication with those close to me. And then I'm also going to let go assumptions of other people's intentions. And I'll end up adding more to mine, I'm sure. I'm not done. I have a bunch of Mabon stuff to do tomorrow because I'm not doing any of the deity work tonight with you guys. That is, everybody has their own path. So, okay. So give me a thumbs up or let me know I'm in releasing grief. I mean, oh, I like that one a lot. That's a good one. Releasing my fear of judgment and tendency. That's a good one too. And more joy. Oh my gosh, self-care. Yes. I need to bring in more willingness to sleep. Personally, I need to be willing to let myself sleep. I wish to not sleep. Um, I should be productive and getting work done. Yes. Oh my goodness. That is like the doing mind versus being mind. And I'm trying so hard to be in being mind instead of doing mind all the time. Doing mind is exhausting. Okay. Oh, I love that one. More love for myself and who I am. My cat's running into my. I'm sorry. I know that, I, I know that all too well. I know that all too well. That's why typically even in the dead of winter, and I live in the middle of Minnesota, so like my winters, I think last year we got to like -45. It was fabulous. I do my salt circles outside of my property, so my cats leave them alone. Yes, I love that one too. I want to release a judgment on my body. I want to love my body without going to like, yes, I love that one. I would love to be able to do that too. I'm gonna copy them. I would love to be able to. I may have needed to grab one of these. I agree with that, Andrea. That's totally true. That's the part of manifestation and intentions that I think a lot of people forget about is that you can't just say you're going to manifest and you can't just say you're going to put intentions out there. Like you legitimately have to put the energy behind it and then it requires action afterwards. Like, yes, manifesting is awesome. It's a great, fantastic ability, but it's not just like, oh, hey, I'm going to manifest this and then I'm going to manifest it. Or, hey, this is my intention and then it's just going to happen. There actually requires like action and effort behind it. And a lot of this energy work with manifestation and intentions help you be able to anchor into that energy and be able to do the actions afterwards with that manifest to be able to manifest and do the intentions. At least that's how it usually feels for me and how it looks for me. Obviously, everybody views everything differently and everybody's going to vibe a little bit differently, but placing my subconscious placement of everyone else's needs above mine. Yes. I 1000% can feel that one. I'm actually gonna copy that a little bit because I'm gonna add now that I want to release anticipating people's needs before they even express it. Because that is exhausting. Why am I meeting needs that haven't even been asked? Then, in order to counter that, I will call in the ability to actually maintain my boundaries. Because I'm really good at putting them out there, but I'm not the best at actually maintaining and following through with them. These are really good ones. I love these. They're gonna be great for the year and everything. And make sure you too that you're also like focusing and thinking about what you're grateful for. Because that's a big part of it. And that's what the intentions are too, and releasing part of it as well, is making sure that gratitude's wrapped up in there. Oh, boundaries are incredibly hard with family. Super, super, super hard. I personally am no contact with quite a few because of that. I want to do what I love and create beautiful things I want to create without worrying if other people. I love that one. That's beautiful. Okay, I'll check in again. You guys give me a thumbs up. Let me know when you guys are ready for the next chunk. I 1000% am manifesting the same thing for you. I do not know how far you are along, but I am definitely manifesting all of that for you as well. My birth and delivery was not great. So I definitely want that to be amazing for you. I want that all to be super, super, super amazing. Okay, I think I've gotten a couple ready, so I'll wait to see if there are a couple more. Okay, so the next chunk we're gonna want to jump back into and drop back down into sacred space container. I'm sure you can still feel it all around you. I can feel I can feel all of you. Um, and just so you know, you guys are all getting purifying energy as well. It just instinctually is what my energy does. Like you, it's just what's gonna happen. So I hope that it is very helpful for you. Um, so let me know here. I'll give you 1 more minute and then I will start to drop down into my sacred space and my container. And then we will go on to the next portion, which is just a Mabon blessing and a Mabon invocation to pull that specific energy of the season directly into you, and to make sure that it's going to hold for you energetically throughout the season and that you're going to feel it like all the way through to your soul. And then the prayer is really just giving acknowledgement to what Mabon is and all the energy that Mabon is, and really fully harnessing that. That's okay, honey. I'm fine with that. Before we begin to connect to Mabon, to the energies of the season, to the earth, and all the creatures around us, I call back to all the directions, to all our guardians, to all the ancestors, to all the guides, the ascended masters, all those in other dimensions that are currently around us to continue to be here with us, to continue to hold this container, to continue to hold this sacred space, to continue to allow the flow and ebb of the watery energy of to feel the harvest and the gratitude, to feel the release and the acceptance, to feel the duality and the balance. On this equinox day and night, we are in equilibrium, both dark and light, masculine and feminine, both inner and outer. Everything is in complete and total peace. Before the night takes over, bringing darkness and the death of winter. All things must die before they can be reborn. It is for this reason that all spiritual ascent requires descent first. We are in a reflection period right now of the universe that surrounds us. What takes place outside of us also takes place within us. All those who long for the light must first face darkness within themselves. It is on this fall equinox, it is on this sacred day known as Mabon, that the stage of inner preparation for enlightenment can fully begin. In order to make our way for the return of the sun on the winter solstice and its rebirth again on the vernal equinox. The nights grow longer now, and I bid farewell to the summer sun. His warmth and glow is now starting to surround me deeper into my own shadow. The greater mysteries await me in the dark months as the harvest continues. I continue to gather all that I planted and tended with love and care, and I give thanks from the very depths of my soul. Today, a different kind of work begins, though, and somewhere deep inside of me, the first flame of winter will soon be ignited. I tend to that very inner fire with care and surrender to this season of autumn for its time to grow and toil and to walk in a path full of blessings. I call an abundance at the middle of harvest for myself and all the world around us. Amen. Aho. So it is. So this next part here is gonna go a lot quicker. If you have a pen or paper, have it. If you don't, you can go run and get one, or you can, I guess, do it mentally. But what I want us to do is I just want us to take literally like 3 minutes now. And this is specifically for also like setting go and releasing. This is something that I want you to burn. So this is something to where when we're done, I want you to go and completely let this go and burn this any way that you can, whether it's actually in a bonfire or just with a lighter, with a candle, anything like that. So again, I want you to be very, very, very intentional and try to use one word when doing this as well to make it as clear as possible to the universe when you are releasing this to the element of fire. But again, like I said, be super, super intentional. Make sure that you are doing intentions for one thing and releasing another. This is to do immediate intentions and releasing. This isn't for the entire season like the leaves were. So that's why this is also, like I said, a little bit different. Because like this is the immediate, this is like the one word, this is the actions, this is just to also like fully make you understand the gratitude when it comes to the intention side and then the releasing as well. So like I said, I'm gonna give you guys like 2-3 minutes just to do this part because this should be really fast. Hang on to this, and then when we're done, today, tonight, or tomorrow, I just want you to burn it and very intentionally burn it.
Is this just like the leaves where we write the one word that we want to bring in and the one word we want to bring out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, but like I said, this is gonna be more for like your immediate like release and immediate bring in. So like that's why we're doing one word and that's why we're gonna be releasing it to the fire right away. Whereas like the leaf garland, that is intentional for the entire season to focus. Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for asking. I love your picture, by the way, too.
Thank you.
I'll probably give you guys maybe about 1 more minute for this one. And then let me know in the chat too with the thumbs up. Because like I said, like these are one word, so it should have been pretty quick and easy to come up with these, especially since we already did our really big intentions. See a couple things up. Okay, I am gonna start to settle back into sacred space / container, all that fun stuff. Next, what I'm gonna do is call in our ancestral invocation prayer for the season to make sure our ancestors and all of our spirit guides and ascended masters are there with us throughout this massive period of evolution and transformation and awakening and all that harvesting. And then after that, what we'll do is I'll walk you through kind of meditatively some of those shadow prompts to make sure that we can focus on releasing the past year. We'll very intentionally breathe out the past year, and then we will close our container and be good to go. Okay. Before I call to our ancestors, I again want to call to all of our guardians for all the 4 directions, elements, and forms. I want to call to the watchtowers, our ascended masters, all of the beings in this dimension and not, to all of our guides, to all the energy that is around us. I call to you to continue to be here, to continue to flow through me, from me, to everybody within this circle, as I call specifically our ancestors to us for the rest of this season of harvest, growth, reflection, gratitude, and transformation. My uplifted ancestors, my guides, fierce protectors, and skilled healers, please stand with me, be with me in this moment, and guide me along this road this fall and autumn season with a cool and clear mind, as clear and crisp as the autumn breeze through the changing leaves around me. You are my root of my root. You are the soil of my soil and the bone of my bone and the blood of my blood. You're not deaf to my sincere cries, nor blind to my honest placations. You keep the gifts of perfect health, wealth, and prosperity close to me, so that we may honor and grow in your legacy. I haven't forgotten my commitment to our lineage, and I vow to never forget that. I honor you as you continue to walk beside me and continue to guide me down this clear, crisp autumn. I want you guys to continue to sit in sacred space and container right now. I'm going to give you a minute to make sure you're still holding it. And then I'll give you some prompts to kind of work through internally right now to start your shadow works for this season. The shadow work I really want you to focus on as I'm bringing these prompts to you. Again, your gratitude, your releasing, the balance, what you harvested, and not just in the sense of crops, but harvested in every sense and area of your life. Everything can be harvested. Times, emotions, spirituality, wealth, everything can be harvested. So as we continue to sit here, ask yourself, where do I need to focus my energy this season? Where do I need to focus my energy this season? The previous season, was I exhausted? Did I have an abundance of energy? Was I balanced? Do I need to focus my energy somewhere else because something else was completely overtaking me? Is my energy split into so many directions I can't focus it right now at all? Where do I need to focus my energy this season? How should I be giving thanks this harvest? How should I be showing and giving my thanks this harvest? How does the energy of Mabon want me to show up for them? Are there any goddesses? Are there any gods? Are there any deities? Are there any energies? Is there anything that I need to harness? And what should that be? What can I learn from the coming darkness? What can I learn from the darkness that's inevitably going to be showing up at my door? There's nothing I can do. It's going to be coming. So what can I do to learn from the coming darkness? How can I be able to sit in it more comfortably? What is the coming darkness trying to show me? Is it trying to show me something outside of myself? Is it trying to show me something inside of myself? What can I learn from the coming darkness? How can I create more balance in my life? This time of year is all about balance. Like I said, today is one of only 2 days in the entire year where all of nature is in complete balance. How can you create that for yourself? How can you try to maintain and achieve that as often as possible? Where are my shortcomings in creating balance? Do I focus too much on the light side? Do I focus too much on the dark side? Do I focus too much on releasing and not enough on accepting? How can I create more balance in my life? What do I need to release the most this harvest season? Very, very, very intentionally focus on this. Very intentionally look inside and don't be afraid of the answer that's coming to you. You might not like it. I don't like a lot of mine. But what do you need to release? What is everything from this past year you need to release that no longer serves you, that creates an obstacle for you, or is something that you are so dead set on harvesting that was maybe unrealistic? I had a couple of those. I definitely need to let go of being a possibility. What do you need to release from this past year? I want you to focus on that question for about 30 more seconds. While you're doing that, I want you to take as many very intentional breaths in and out that you can. And when you hear my voice again, I'll have you release it very intentionally. You can do it as dramatically as you want because you are literally releasing all of that energy, everything that you're thinking of that you want to release. You are letting go. You are blowing it out of your system. You are blowing it out of your energetic field. You are blowing it out of your soul. You are going to completely surrender and release it. Okay, last inhale and release. Okay, I hope you felt that. I am going to sit with our container for another 30 seconds. And then I'm going to call back all of our guardians and directions and elements, and I will close it. I called the guardians of the south and the guardians of the west. I called the guardians of the north, and I called the guardians of the east. I called to all ascended masters, all other entities from this dimension, and those that are not of ours. I call to all the energy around us, in the universe, in the earth, the planets, and all the beings and creatures. I call to everybody's own specific energy that's within this circle, within this container, within this space. I thank you so much for being here with us. I thank you for your guidance, your protection, and your ability to create energetic flow. I now release you. I cannot wait to see you again. Amen. Aho. No, it is. Okay, that's everything I had all for tonight. So, if anybody has any questions, now you can ask me any comments, anything about anything that we did. If there's anything you need to ask or anything about any of my energy that you received, now's the time. And then we'll head out. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I hope everybody got what they needed out of it.
Would you go over what we do with the leaves for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I can definitely go over that again.
Thank you.
So what you're gonna do is after you get them, whether you're gonna put them in a container or you're gonna put them on a garland, you're gonna pay attention throughout the rest of the season of what those intentions are that you're calling in and that you're releasing out. When these intentions come to fruition,
Be good, boy.
release those intentions that you're trying to release. You're going to remove that leaf from your container, your garland, and then you're going to give it back to the earth. Whether that means that you bury it, compost it, put it back into a body of water, however feels comfortable for you and vibes with your energy, you're going to give it back to the earth and with immense thanks for that intention being fulfilled. Does that make sense?
Can you burn it?
You can. Yep, burning works. That's giving it back to the earth. Yep. I would take the ashes and like put them outside though, just to make sure that it gets physically to the earth. But yeah, you can definitely burn it.
And for that letter that we're doing the one word of wanting and releasing, it's
Yep.
on one page and then we burn it, right?
Yeah. Very intentionally burning it. So it's making sure, like I said, that you're holding in your sacred space and that you're releasing that and calling that in. I recommend that you have it in your right hand, because typically right side, and that is the side in the hand that's the energy that works for releasing, and you're really releasing it into the fire at that point. So yes, that's what I would recommend to do with it. It works great wonders. And if you guys do like the mason jar altar and you seal it, it's absolutely amazing the energy that will do for you and that will carry through for you. My new year jar one that I showed you, and I actually will walk you through that at the next Sabbath. But really, there's not a single intention in there that has not come to fruition, and it's actually expanded bigger than I even thought. So like these, if you seal those, that is an amazing energy that you can hold on to. Yay, I'm happy that you liked it. Thank you for telling me that.
I wanted to say too, that was a very, very beautiful
I guess I'll just kind of call it like a guided meditation, because that's what I started getting towards the end of it. I started getting a lot of visuals, especially like when you acknowledge the dark part. I have a black cat, and she came and she literally like hopped into the edge of the circle and was like, "Pick me up." I was like, "All right, cool."
Yeah, I love it. Yay. That's actually kind of what I want it to feel like. It's very like more meditative for you, because that's kind of how my energy comes across. So I'm so glad.
Very
Yay,
much
I love it.
so.
Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, and I'll turn the camera on. She definitely she just popped up. She's like, "Hey."
She's so cute too. Oh, she's got the little boots.
Yes, she's got little boots and she's got her little mittens too, or like her little bib. But she was like, "Yeah, okay, perfect."
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh.
Yes.
I love you, Alex. That's just going to be my response to that big long message. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelsey, for the information and the ritual. You have such a way of words. It's incredible.
Thank you. That is all of my Mercury I have in my chart. I will tell you that. Communication is definitely my thing. So thank you. I love it. I'm so happy you guys enjoyed it. So if there's no more questions, I am going to close out. I have been awake for a few days, so I'm gonna go sleep before I have to do ceremony myself tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. I hope to see you at my next one.
Yes,
Bye.
have a good one
Good
too.
night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.